Okay, here we go. Hi, Mags. How are you?
Hi,
Listen, thanks a million for agreeing to join me today, Mags, to have a discussion about education in general and especially about the transition to secondary school. It's an absolute pleasure to meet you.
oh, thanks. It's nice to meet you too.
So, Mags, let's get straight into it. And I know that you are going on to be a primary school teacher yourself. So I would just like to maybe start by asking you, do you remember being in sixth class and thinking about the transition to secondary school, and how was that feeling?
I just remember being so nervous because I went to a small rural school and there was so little of us in our class, and then I was going into a big secondary school with almost 1,000 students in it, and it was just so nerve-wracking because I'd been quite sheltered, so I had only interacted with the kids in my class or my school, and I had no idea of all the kids from the other schools going into the big secondary school, and it was just very nerve-wracking. I was nervous, but I got over it eventually. Like the first day was great, and everyone was so nice. Everyone was in the same position because it was a load of rural schools that got put into the one school, so everyone was coming from the same kind of boat, and we got through it eventually.
Great. Did it take you long to settle? Do you remember?
I don't actually think it did. I think I got on quite well with everyone in my class all of a sudden, and because we were all in the same. The first few weeks of school were quite fun for us because we got to do all of our practical subjects and stuff like that before we got to choose the ones we wanted to do for junior cert. So it was just all fun and games for the first few weeks.
Brilliant. And Mags, do you remember what was your dream as a child?
Oh, I've always known to be a primary school teacher since I was a child, like all the way through. I knew I always wanted to teach children.
Wow. Something similar. I always wanted to be a primary school teacher, but in secondary school, I had a career guidance teacher who tried to dissuade me because she said there weren't many jobs, but thankfully I kept going. But Max, so you wanted from a young age to be a primary school teacher, and you seem to have been very resolute about that. Did you have any teachers who inspired you?
In secondary school, my English teacher, she was always like there for me. She always told me that I had great opinions. When we were doing our opinion pieces in fifth year, she always told me that I was like really good at English. That I was really good. I was going to go far, and that really stuck with me.
Wow, sounds like a great teacher. And Mags, looking back now, what would you say were the best things about secondary school?
Um, I think just being around everyone, like it was such a big school that there were so many people to meet, and then the practical subjects, like I did woodwork and home ec for my junior cert, and I just every week like cooking something and making something in woodwork. It was just so different. It was so nice.
Brilliant. And then the other side of that, were there any particular challenges that you had to face that were unique to you, maybe, and also that anybody moving to secondary school would face too?
I was really quiet, so I didn't speak up much in class, or I didn't really put myself out there to make friends. And it took a long time for me to kind of stop being so quiet and to actually speak up. I think that was the hardest challenge for me, was that I was so quiet and afraid to speak up.
Okay. And you've obviously overcome it. You're in college now. How's college going?
Oh, I love college. It's like the best experience ever. I've met so many new people, I've made so many friends, and it's just been such a nice, welcoming place to be.
And can you tell me, Mags, a little bit about some of the supports that have been put in place to help you at college, or some supports that you've been able to avail of?
So when I went into college, I applied for like special grants and stuff. And when they had found out that I was a traveler, they were so supportive. They were taking me in for meetings. They were asking me anything they could do. My lectures, when we were doing modules that involved anything got to do with traveller culture, they would ask me questions about it to make sure that they're being inclusive in their teaching practices. And it was really nice because I felt very included by everyone in college.
I'm delighted to hear that. That's brilliant, and it is as it should be. So you mentioned there you're from the traveling community. Within our school, most of our students come from the traveling community, and they're a fabulous bunch of students. Such characters, they have fantastic abilities. We would have students who are very academic. And this year we have 6 moving on to secondary school. So we have 4 girls and 2 students, and we would have high expectations of them. And I know that within that group, there are a few who are interested in teaching. We would have physical trainers, possibly accountants, office workers, landscapers, all sorts. So we're really hoping that they will keep their dreams alive and pursue what it is that they really love. So just in relation to that, I think it is important for them to hear from role models who are like yourself, who are close to them, because I definitely think that what you have to say will inspire them. But for yourself, Mags, who or what inspires you?
Um, since like I did my PhD, I found out about all the other traveller people who had went through education, and some of their stories were so inspirational. Um, I would mainly look up to Cindy Joyce. She's the most amazing person ever. Like since I've done my PhD, I've been looking up to her. She has a PhD, and it just really shows, you know, that traveller women can do anything, like travellers in general. And then there's Owen Ward, who was actually an early school leaver, and he went back to school through the Access program in NUI Galway, and he is secondary school teacher now. And you know, it's just nice to see travellers in different fields of work, and it's really inspiring.
Yeah, that's fantastic, Mags. And I'm just thinking, we actually followed with interest Cindy's interview with Mary McAleese during the year. We thought that was very interesting and inspiring, and it was something we talked about at great length with the students here. And I've also heard of Owen Ward too, so I know they're both very inspirational characters. And Mags, in your experience at college then, have you had the chance to meet people from a variety of different backgrounds?
Yeah, definitely. In AIT as well, they have a great international program, so they would have students from all over different countries and everything. My course, my friend who I would mainly be around with, she's from Greece. She actually lives in Crete. And then my other friend would be from Malaysia. And it's nice to hear about other people's cultures and all like the different aspects of their customs and routines as well, and how they kind of link up with traveller culture as well. And it's nice, you know, to see and be self-aware of your own culture we see in other cultures.
Yeah, that would have been my experience too, Mags, that when you're exposed to people from other cultures, it helps you gain an even deeper appreciation and understanding of your own culture. And it's great to be able to talk about those and to share ideas and to see in lots of ways how many of us are connected. And there's lots of similarities too between cultures, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely. Oh yeah, definitely, especially in different cultures. In China, of how they would raise their daughters, quite strict as well. That links up kind of with traveller culture, and it's nice to see, you know, that other cultures are doing that.
So, Max, just in relation to, I get a sense from having spoken to you that your parents are quite protective over you, and I don't know if that's something just particular to your family or the traveller culture in general. So, is there particular advice you'd have for, say, our girls from the travelling community going forward to secondary school?
That yeah, because when I was going through secondary school, I was afraid couldn't be able to go to college because I couldn't move out. And when I realized that there was buses that go to college, and you know that there's other traveler girls who get these buses and stuff, it was like it was just amazing. Like I just couldn't get over it. I was like, oh yes, I can finally go. So they just don't let it discourage you, because there's so many ways like you can go to college without moving out. and you can keep your ways. You can, like, people would be very, very respectful of your ways, and you can keep them when you go to college.
Well, that's brilliant to hear. And Mags, so advice for all of our students from the traveling community in preparing for secondary school and life in general, are there any, key nuggets of advice and inspiration that you'd like to share with them?
Just don't let anyone tell you that you can't do anything just because you're a traveler, because that's not even anything that's going to limit you. People will say, oh, you can't become a teacher, you're a traveler, but look, I'm here, I'm a teacher. And people will just find things to pick at because they're insecure in themselves. And just don't let anyone discourage you, and just keep going and do what you want to do.
That's brilliant, Mags. And Mags, I know that you're very involved in the Students' Union now in AIT. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the start of this year, I decided I was going to run for Ethnic Minorities Officer in AIT. It was a completely new role. And so basically, as my role of Ethnic Minority Officer, I would have had to basically include all ethnic minorities, not just travellers, but all ethnic minorities. And I would have to give them advice and let them know what reports are available. And especially with the transition from secondary school to college, I had to help them kind of become settled in college and help them out. So I ran for that, and I got in, I got voted in. I had to do a big, massive speech in front of the whole college. It was terrifying, but yeah, I got through it anyway.
Well, congratulations, and I imagine you'll be absolutely outstanding in the role. And it's really interesting what you say there, because training our students to speak in public is a huge thing that we're doing in primary school here, because we want them to be able to stand up and speak out on their own behalves, on behalf of their families and their community going forward. So it's going to be helpful for them to hear how those skills will come in handy later on. And within the group going forward, we actually have a girl who's a founder member, or founder, not a founder, founder member, but a founder also of our first student council here in primary school. So it'll be interesting for her to hear about your involvement in the student union. And who knows, maybe you might meet some of our students in the college there in the future.
Oh yeah, I'd say I'm going to be involved in AIT for a long time anyway.
Yeah, well, fair play to you. And I was telling you that the connection goes a little bit deeper between myself and AIT there. My own mother was a lecturer in AIT just before she passed away 33 years ago now. So that's a long time ago. But it's funny how these coincidences occur.
Yeah.
And she was somebody who was very passionate about education. And she left school at 14 herself and then went on to be a lecturer. So it's great to see now finally that there are a variety of different opportunities and options available for everybody, I think. But Max, I'm just going to go back to something you were saying about your parents. And it's something that I'm mindful with our parents in the school, and that sort of concern about letting their children go too far away from them, the sense of protecting them as much as possible. And I came across this lovely quotation. I don't know if you've heard of The Prophet by Khalil Gibran.
No.
Yeah, so I'm a parent myself, and I actually often go back to this because I can understand the fear of letting your children go into a future that you don't know anything about yourself because you haven't experienced it. And what he says is, your children are not your children. They come through you, but not from you. You can house their bodies, but not their souls. You are the bows from which your children, as living arrows, are sent forth. I love that. I love that
Yeah.
image. So, because I know all parents do their best for the children, but we don't know, we can't know what their future is going to be. So I suppose I can empathize with your parents in so far as they want to protect you. So Max, what do you see, what are your hopes now for the immediate future?
Well, I'm going to do my Irish exams this year and do my masters in next September, hopefully. I'm going to go on to do my masters in primary teaching in Maynooth, and then after that, I hope to get a job as a primary school teacher somewhere.
Well, I've heard you've a lot of experience. You've done some subbing already.
Yeah,
And how did you find that?
I was so nervous beforehand, but then it just came natural to me, and I absolutely love it. I have such a passion, for teaching, and I think everyone can see that.
Yeah, and that's when I was speaking to you before, you brought another quotation to mind that I had read recently about teachers. And it just says, the mediocre teacher tells, the good teacher explains, the superior teacher demonstrates, but the great teacher inspires. So, Mags, I think in the work that you're doing here today and the work I've heard you do already, you're definitely in the zone of inspiration. And I've no doubt that you will make an absolutely inspiring teacher.
Thank you.
So Mags, just finishing up then, is there any parting words you'd like to share, or is there anything you'd like to ask me or tell me in relation to supporting the children going forward?
I'm not too sure. We've kind of covered everything. I just kind of want to say like that when you go into secondary school, like not to be afraid to ask, like if people are being rude to you or being racist towards you, to not be afraid to speak out, because like that happened to me quite a bit in secondary school. I didn't know where to go, and when I left school, I realized there's guidance counselors in school. There was my year head, there was my tutor, there was so many people I could have went to, told, and have these people held accountable for their actions. But I was too afraid. But just don't be afraid. Like, don't. People are saying these racist things, they deserve to get in trouble for it.
I think that's fantastic advice, especially in the world that we're living in at the moment. Everybody is deserving of respect, and if they are being badly treated in any way unfairly because of their background, then they have every right and a responsibility to speak up about it. But like you say, it's important to know that there are people there that you can go to.
Yeah, definitely. I kind of was kept in the dark in secondary school. I kind of felt like I couldn't trust anyone, but that was a fear I put into myself. It wasn't anything got to do with the school or anything. These supports are available. I just didn't go near them.
Fantastic. And Mags, I believe your talents go even further than primary school teaching. I know you've inspired your own brothers to go on to third level, but I believe you're a professional makeup artist as well.
I am, yeah. I've worked 2 years now as a professional makeup artist in my town, and I absolutely love it. Like, I have a studio built out the back of my house, and I worked in a salon for about a year, and I work now from my house. And I did makeup college while I was doing my degree. I did that for a few months, and yeah, I just absolutely love it. I love being so creative and everything about it.
Fantastic. I think your creative talents will definitely be put to great use in primary school. And I hope maybe someday, I know you're from Offaly and I'm an Offaly woman myself, maybe someday you'll come over to visit us here in East Galway.
Oh, I'd love that.
And perhaps maybe next year in person, you could deliver a speech to our graduating class then.
Oh, I'd love that, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, listen, let's keep in contact. And thanks again, Mag, so much for having this chat with me today. And the best of luck in the AIT.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mags. Take care. Bye.
Bye.